the oath of office is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that's why I am for Ted Cruz. He is a constitutionalist. At 13 years old, he had memorized the Constitution and was going around the state doing this amazing memory thing on the Constitution. He was raised by a father who escaped from Cuba, actually fought for Fidel, came to America, realized the difference, became an American citizen, raised Ted on the Constitution, and so it's in his bones. And what I've warned about for so long, people only focused when I was at Fox, they only focused on what I was saying about Barack Obama. But when I was at CNN, I was saying much of the same stuff about George W. Bush, and nobody paid attention. And when I was at Fox, I warned, look, Democrats, please understand, if you let the balance of power go out of whack, the next guy who could get in could be calling himself a Republican, and he will either take that same power and either use it at the same level or expand it. And that's a very bad thing. We need a constitutional restraint on the executive branch. And Donald Trump, I really, truly believe, is a very dangerous man. If you listen to, Chris, some of the things he said this weekend.
Dangerous why? Obviously.
I could go on Fifth Avenue and I could shoot people and I wouldn't lose a single vote. He's joked about killing reporters like Putin. Actually, he's joked about not killing reporters like Putin does. He's a very dangerous man.
He says he's joking. He put out a tweet this weekend about you. You know what happens when you go with Trump. He is not one to take a punch passively. You obviously don't care about that, but in terms of, here he is. He's a sad answer to the Sarah Palin endorsement. It's the best Cruz could do. Glenn is a failing, crying loss. So I know you well enough to know that the personal attack isn't going to bother you, but do you think that you may be mistaking the mood of the country? Because obviously that is seen as the fuel of Trump's success thus far.
Oh, Chris, no, I'm not here to talk to you about the mood of the country. I'm here to talk to you about the Constitution and what I believe is an absolute right or wrong. We don't change with the mood of the country. That's the problem with our country right now. The Constitution is to anchor us in principles that help temper the mood of the country. The mood of the country is very angry, but you never make a good decision when you're angry. The worst thing we can do is to now start looking at, well, who's going to get revenge? One of the things that Donald Trump does, and look, you want to take a shot at me. I mean, look at me, Chris. There's lots of jokes to be made. So it doesn't bother me. But when you have a guy who is angry and then has an enemies list, and starts just to take people down over and over and over again, if you disagree with him, he destroys you. If that's the mood of the country, then we're in more trouble than I thought.